All right, for the next group, let's talk about the tourists. Now, this is one of the harder groups to get all of the costs, meaning the orders and the rewards and the ability just right, because a lot of people look at them in the game as being the annoying group, and that's not just because of their ability lowering your hype, but it's also just thematically, it's all fun. Even though many of us travel, it's fun for all of us to say, oh, tourists, wherever we're from. They're not as cool, as the hipsters, for example. But that's intended. They're supposed to be fun like that. So we worked really hard to make sure, in development, to make sure that their strategy was quite viable, that even if they were hard to deal with or annoying to deal with, that they were worth it when you did. So let's jump in and take a look. So here we got a souvenir collector, and what she actually wants is just a regular coffee, so a bean, and then she wants some soy milk. And for that, she'll give you 2 good reviews. And then this is the new any snack symbol. You can see Yana's done a great job on that. And that means literally any snack. So it's 2 sugar unless I happen to have a pantry upgrade, such as this infinite coffee, which you can see has a pie on it. And that means that I can craft pie, which would then any snack would only cost 1 sugar. But anyhow, once I serve that any snack, then I actually get to go ahead and take a happy token and place it on her. So at the end of the, if you don't know the rules of Seize the Bean, at the end of the serving step, this becomes a good review, and the customer stays in the line. So this is essentially a 3-point card, just looking at the rewards. Then you have the ability. The ability would reduce our hype by 1, which is not great in most circumstances, but it could be good. And then also the other part of the ability is a word of mouth. And this is the only combo, this whole customer ability is the only ability in the whole game that we don't have a thematic name for. Right now it's just called tourist ability. So I think the closest thing we had so far was like gentrify. So if anybody has any ideas out there, please throw them in the comments. Word of mouth lets you get a new customer, and it'll be based on the upgrades you have in your shop. So let's assume I had none right now, which would be a regular serving a tourist. And then it's also based on who's in your line. So at this moment in time, I would have to take another tourist, which thematically matches what they do. They talk about your shop, and more people come, especially tourists. Now, because you can win an award at the end of the game for the number of cards you have matching that award, and you get a point for every customer that matches it if you have the most. This word of mouth is a potential 1 point. So this is a potential 4-point card. Now that's pretty good, considering that if you have the ability to generate soy milk and the ability to generate a snack, then it's only 3 resources that you're dumping. The supers, so you'll notice that if I show you the Shopaholic and the Interrailer, that the cards are identical. It's just thematically they are different. And it's not like that in every group. It's just in some groups, we wanted to streamline things, especially groups that are harder to serve. So you'll notice on the supers, which again are identical to each other. And if you don't know Seize the Bean, supers are just like a couple of customers in each group have double the ability and have better rewards and harder costs. So you notice that the only difference here is an extra bean. So the supers are actually pretty good to serve, but they give you 3 good reviews and a -2 hype and 2 word of mouth. So they're actually really good. The tricky thing about tourists is that they have all 3 resource types. And if you're not paying that sugar for the any snack, what's going to happen is your hype is going to go down to 1. And you're going to be spending a lot of time trying to get resources, trying to get probably pantry upgrades so that you can serve all your tourists when they come out. So you're not going to probably be focused on growing your line. And so the trick is, if you can get all 3 resource types, then it doesn't matter where your hype is, because since they stay happy, they stay in your line. And then you're really controlling that your line is full of tourists. So normally it's about like round 3 is about the fastest that it normally happens, where somebody gets 1 or 2 tourists out of their deck into their line. And at that point, you start scoring like these almost 10-point turns. Because as I said, this is 3 good reviews here at maximum, and another 3 with just 2 regulars. Right? And if you have a super, that's 4. So if you have 2 supers, that's 8 points, plus the potential from the word of mouth. And the only downside about the word of mouth is it can do what's called dudding out. That's what we call it, like a device that doesn't do what it's supposed to do can be a dud. And in this instance, the dud could be that there's, if we took this tourist and then the next card was, a hipster. Normally we would slide the cards, but I'm just trying to go quick here. If that was the spread and this is what we had to match with the word of mouth, we wouldn't get anything. And it would dud out, like imagine that we took this tourist into our discard from this first card. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 word of mouths that would dud. So the tricky part is making sure, for example, that maybe we have a different customer group icons in our upgrade cards so that we could be taking other cards with the word of mouth. So that's the other strategy with those tourists, is not just getting a lot of points by serving them, but then also getting a lot of points at the end of the game by winning many different awards because you have so many cards in your deck. So I've talked a lot about tourists, so I'll exit the video now by just showing you a couple previews of their upgrades. So here on the style side, you have a crappy Wi-Fi, and then you also have free city maps. And then on the pantry side, one of my favorites, infinite coffee and the 2-for-1 lattes. So that's your little preview of tourists. They are one of the harder groups to learn in the beginning of the game, a little bit daunting, but I definitely recommend you trying, whether it's with the print and play or when you actually get the game. Give tourists a try. They're really fun. I love them a lot. All right, Dylan from Quality Beast, and I am out.